professional ambush revealed its purpose by what it refused to destroy. With 30 seconds left to land, Callan Reeves saw trees where home approach should have been and sent Elva toward the west surface. The first burst hit their abandoned touchdown line. The second tracked them, then broke away from the cockpit and engines. They had escaped the kill zone. So why did Callan know the real trap had only just begun? The moving map still held the AT-92 on home approach, centered and calm. The windshield showed black spruce where approach lights should have been. Callan braced against the cockpit frame. Callan is less than #0. 4# is greater than west. Continuous pavement. Turn, now. Elva was already moving. I have it. Nomi, rear status. Rear secure for the turn Nomi called. 7 strapped. Runa says Bracken is contained. The co-pilot looked from the display to the trees. Map still says home. 30 seconds to the threshold. The threshold is forest, Callan said. Give Elva the heading. The aircraft answered the turn slowly, heavy with sealed calibration cases and recovery equipment. Elva kept her eyes outside. Callan, surface. Not yet is less than #0. 3# is greater than another. Burst walked through wet ground along the route they had abandoned. The co-pilot stopped reading the false position. Fire on home approach. Keep the distress live, Elva said. Do not correct it until we are down. Callan saw no muzzle, only impacts placed where a pilot trusting the display would have landed. West surface coming left, broken edge. Center looks continuous. Then stop talking about the map, Elva said. Talk me onto pavement. The west surface appeared late, a cracked strip running past the dark fire station, is less than #0. 5# is greater than farther west. A low shelter sat beside a maintenance road that vanished behind low ground. One pavement edge looked cleaner than the rest. A windsock moved in air that did not match the display. Surface holds, Callan said. Left edge broken, favor right. How much right? Enough to miss the collapse, not enough to meet those lights. Elva corrected. Nomi's voice came from the cargo bay. Brace call. Now, Elva said. Brace, brace, brace. The AT-92 hit left side first. Metal hammered beneath Callan's boots. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than the rear. Snapped sideways as restraints and cargo fittings took the load. Bracken barked once, then Runa's voice cut through the impact. Bracken, with me. Nomi, my left side is bad. The co-pilot struck the side console and folded over his wrist. I'm conscious, he said before anyone asked. Wrist is gone for flight. Stay in the seat until the medic moves you, Elva answered. A vehicle beside the prepared alignment tried to clear the pavement. The landing spray swallowed it, followed by torn equipment, and one dark figure that did not rise is less than #0. 5# is greater than. The aircraft dragged across the west surface while Elva fought the pull without wasting words. Brake response, Callan asked. Uneven. Steering. Left side slow. Engines good. Let me finish landing. The AT-92 slowed in a long shudder. The bent rear ramp screamed against its frame, and something heavy shifted inside the cargo bay. Nomi called through the noise. 7 accounted for. Co-pilot conscious. Runa limited. No one else. Reports. Loss of function. 7. The medic answered from the rear. Co-pilot stays non-flight. Runa can move short distance, no run, no climb, no second fall, is less than #0. 5# is greater than Runa. Drew one tight breath. Bracken stays with me until the wash changes. He gives us nothing useful here. Agreed, Callan said. He looked back through the cargo bay. Bracken pressed close to her wet harness, ears flattened by the engines. The dog's restraint came from Runa, not from any understanding of the field. Elva tested the aircraft once, then stopped. Left steering degraded, Braking worse. Main gear holds. Tires are ugly but carrying weight. Nomi inspected the bent rear ramp from inside. One side folded inward. I have a gap, not an exit. Can they tow us? Callan asked. Is less than #0. 3# is greater than Elva's hands stayed on the controls. If they get the nose and I cannot counter the damaged side, yes. The first distress call, still named home approach. Anyone answering it would search 42 miles away. Can we correct now? Nomi asked. Not while the transmitter is exposed and we do not own the field, Callan said. Elva did not agree or object. She listened to the engine note, then said, They left us enough aircraft to move. Gunfire returned from the east. A burst struck pavement ahead of the nose, then stopped when Elva's correction exposed the cockpit. Is less than #0. 5# is greater than. Another crossed behind the left engine and broke away before touching it. Same restraint, Nomi said. Cockpit and engines spared. And the rear? Callan asked. They fired around it, not through it. The security specialist moved toward the damaged rear ramp. I can cover the opening. I cannot cover the fire station and the nose together. Then do not try, Callan said. Rear first. The medic shifted the injured away from the bent access. Elva looked through rain on the windshield. They lost the displayed touchdown, and one prepared position is less than #0. 4# is greater than. They are measuring what landed, Callan said. The fire station remained dark. The hangar line sat mostly in shadow. The maintenance road near West Shelter disappeared behind the low ground. No frightened defender ran toward the wreck. Movement rear west, Runa called. Not Bracken working. I saw it. Nomi checked through the gap. One shape toward fire station. Callan left the cockpit and stopped at the cargo bay centerline. No pursuit until Runa can bound what the dog has. Elva's answer came after a beat. Good is less than #0. 3# is greater than outside. The firing shifted again without touching cockpit, engines, or pilot. The damaged AT-92 sat on the west surface, movable, occupied, and still worth more to the attackers than the people firing at it. Bracken reached the wet grit outside the rear ramp, pulled toward the fire station, then looked back at Runa instead of committing to the doorway. Callan stopped with the lead loose in his left hand. He had moved the dog during one flight security familiarization, enough to manage distance and nothing more. Runa remained seated inside the bent opening, one arm tight against her ribs. Recent occupancy, she said, is less than #0. 4# is greater than that is all. Number? Nomi asked. No. Which side? No. Callan watched Bracken test the air and turned toward the masonry. Intent? Absolutely not. He can support movement away from the building if the surface holds. He cannot tell you why. Callan repeated it aloud. Recent movement. No number, side, or intent. The security specialist checked the 30 yards between the rear ramp and the fire station. Door is too obvious. If we go inside, the aircraft loses us. We do not go inside, Callan said. Contain the exterior lane. Elva spoke from forward. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than. I can keep the engine stable. I cannot watch your west side. Nomi owns rear access. You own the aircraft. Security, left edge with me. The medic shifted the co-pilot and Runa deeper from the gap. No one uses the injured as cover. Give me one body width clear. Nomi answered, you have it. Runa released only enough lead for Callan to test the open ground. Bracken checked the doorway, rejected a direct pull, and angled toward the outside wall. Movement left the fire station, Runa said. Supported for another few yards, nothing beyond that. A flash struck from beyond the fire station and chewed wet pavement between Callan and the AT-92. A second burst came from the west route, lower and farther back. 2 firing positions, the security specialist said. They want us split. Then we stay connected, Callan answered. He dropped behind a broken curb and kept Bracken close to the aircraft side. Nomi, rear shut. Rear, shut. Elva, forward warning. I will call any move near the nose. Runa's voice sharpened. Callan, do not widen Bracken. The wash is folding around the wall. Holding his distance is less than #0. 3# is greater than. The security specialist moved along the outer masonry instead of toward the doorway. I can block the corner from here. I cannot chase past it. You are not chasing. Another burst struck the curb and stopped when the firing path approached the left engine. Callan saw a man slip from behind the fire station toward the gap between building and aircraft. The man stayed low, one hand brushing the masonry to keep orientation in the rain. Corner mover, Callan said. Closing on the rear ramp. He passed the lead back without looking. Runa caught it. Bracken is out. Confirmed is less than #0. 3# is greater than. The security specialist shifted 1 pace toward the aircraft. I have his exit. You have first contact. Callan stepped into the narrowing gap. The attacker changed speed when he realized the route was occupied, but his purpose remained forward. He was trying to complete the crossfire by reaching the aircraft side. They hit the damp wall together. The attacker's shoulder drove into Callan's right side and tore heat through the joint. Callan's hand still closed, but the arm would not rise above shoulder height. The man tried to turn past him toward the rear ramp. Is less than #0. 5# is greater than. Callan planted his left palm against the masonry and kept his body between the attacker and the aircraft. He is pushing through, Callan said. Not backing out. I see him, the security specialist answered. Fire crossed the west route again, forcing him to arrive from the curb instead of the open lane. The delay gave the attacker room to strike Callan's injured shoulder. Callan lost the wall for half a step. Right arm, the specialist asked. Hand works, shoulder does not. Then stay low. He came in from the aircraft side and drove the attacker's legs away from the route. Is less than #0. 5# is greater than. Callan used his left side to turn the man against the wet masonry. The attacker's weapon skidded under the curb. He tried once to rise, failed to place weight beneath him, and stopped moving toward the AT-92. 1 down, the specialist said. West fire still active. Callan pushed off the wall and nearly fell when his shoulder refused the load. The medic called from the rear ramp. Do not test overhead reach again. Runa had Bracken beside her. The track is finished. Air and ground are mixed. Callan handed the dog no second question. Bring him in. She did. The western fire thinned, then vanished. A vehicle engine turned over beyond the hangar line, too distant to place through the aircraft noise. 2 brief bursts struck the cargo side perimeter without advancing. Finds, Nomi said. Rear remains clear, but someone crossed beneath the cockpit windows. Elva answered, I heard one at the nose. Callan looked past the damaged rear ramp. A shadow moved along the fuselage and disappeared forward. The fire station had screened the approach long enough to close the west route. Security, can you return fast? Fast enough to hold the rear ramp, not fast enough to beat fire across open ground. Then come back along the aircraft. Callan turned toward Runa. Any remaining support from Bracken? No, his information ended at the wall. Understood. Reduced force and overhead reach. The hand may stay useful. Do not assume the joint will. Elva called from forward. Movement at cockpit threshold. Nomi repositioned the injured along the cargo bay wall. I can keep 7 accounted for or defend every opening. I cannot do both alone. Callan brought the security specialist inside the aircraft shadow. Containment only. Fire station is spent. Nomi, keep the rear to forward passage narrow. Security, rear ramp. I will take the cargo bay lane. Outside, the east and west firing positions fell quiet. The next hostile movement was already inside the aircraft's outline, narrowing toward the cockpit threshold. A man came through the rear ramp and stepped over the sealed calibration cases as if they were painted lines on the floor. Callan saw the choice before he saw the face. The first interior hostile did not touch a latch or glance down. He moved along the cargo bay centerline toward the cockpit threshold. He is less than #0. 5# is greater than Nomi was already shifting the injured away from that route. 7 alive, she said. 2 limited. Rear ramp compromised. Keep them against the left wall, Callan said. The medic shook his head. Not all 7. Runa cannot absorb another fall, and the co-pilot's wrist needs support. Then give me the passage you can give. 1 body width. Nomi answered, 1 body width is enough if nobody tries to defend the cases. The security specialist held the damaged rear ramp. Second figure outside. Elva called from forward. Cockpit controls remain untouched, is less than #0. 4# is greater than red cargo bay light, flattened the ribbed floor, tied restraints, and sealed flight test equipment into hard edges. 1 case had shifted during landing, but its seals held. The first interior hostile stepped around it without using it for cover. He is walking past the cargo, Nomi said. I see it. Callan lowered his injured arm. Forward wall. Protect the passage, not the cases. Runa kept Bracken beside her, out of the engine wash, and away from an interior collision he could not clarify. He stays with me, she said. No work in here. Agreed. The second man entered and stopped short of the injured crew. He became the threshold cover, holding the forward passage while the first hostile advanced. They are preserving the lane, Nomi said. And the people inside it. Elva's voice came through the aircraft noise. They have avoided the flight deck twice. They want me available. Callan looked at the cases. Could still be cargo. Then why protect my hands? Elva asked. A burst outside struck the aircraft skin and stopped before reaching the cockpit. Nomi gave Callan a hard look. The cases are not moving the crew. The men are, is less than #0. 4# is greater than, forget the cases, Callan said. Cockpit threshold becomes the defense. Finally, Nomi said. She moved the security specialist 2 steps forward, while the medic shifted the co-pilot and Runa along the cargo bay wall. The first interior hostile accelerated into the rearrangement. Callan met him near a restraint rail. The impact folded his right shoulder and drove both men across the ribbed floor. His hand still closed, but the arm could not lift cleanly. Forward passage stays blocked, Nomi called. Security, hold rear ramp. Medic, nobody crosses center, is less than #0. 4# is greater than. The hostile tried to pull Callan away from the cockpit threshold and expose the lane. Callan anchored with his left leg against a floor fitting. Nomi stepped into the space the man wanted and denied him a straight route. The threshold cover watched the struggle without joining it. He kept his firing path clear of Elva, the co-pilot, and the medic. Second man is protecting forward continuity, Nomi said. He could end this faster if he fired through us. He will not, Elva answered. Not while the aircraft needs a crew. The first hostile struck Callan's injured side. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than pain ran down the arm, but the fingers still held. The security specialist left the rear ramp only after Nomi called rear clear for 3 seconds. He crossed the cargo bay and hit the first hostile from behind. Together they turned the man away from the forward passage. His shoulder struck the restraint rail, his knees went to the floor, and the security specialist kept him there. Rear ramp, Callan asked. Open again, Nomi said. Return now. The specialist went back before the threshold cover could exploit the absence. 1 hostile down, Nomi said. 1 forward is less than #0. 3 hash is greater than the threshold cover. Gave ground toward the cockpit threshold, calm enough to prove he had chosen the distance. Callan did not follow. Cargo Bay Center is abandoned, he said. Nomi own crew and passage. Security rear opening. Elva, call any touch on the controls. Already doing it, Elva said. The sealed equipment remained in the red light while every living person shifted around the route to the cockpit.
Metal scraped outside the aircraft, followed by a diesel cough below the cockpit line. Tau vehicle, Elva said. They are taking the nose. The threshold cover fired once into ceiling line momentum, slowing pursuit without risking the controls, then vanished forward. Nomi pressed the injured tighter to the cargo bay wall. If we chase, rear opens. We do not chase, Callan said. The medic adjusted the co-pilot's support. And you do not move these two again until the deck settles. Understood. Outside voices stayed brief and controlled, broken by engine noise. Callan could not make out words, only a team working near the nose. Cases still sealed, Nomi said. Leave them sealed. That order should have come earlier, she replied. Callan gave no defense. The tow engine caught fully. Its vibration traveled through the floor, separate from the steady pulse of the AT-92's engines. Elva called, nose connection beginning. Callan placed his left hand against a restraint and felt the change through the airframe. Rear crew stays protected. We stop the movement outside. Nomi looked toward the cockpit threshold. One hostile is still forward. Then you keep him from coming back through us. A hard metallic contact sounded beneath the nose. The tow engine settled into load, and the nose gear gave a small, unmistakable tug. Fuel road was wide enough for the tow tractor and clean enough to look maintained. Deasing residue marked both edges in pale streaks, while churned wet snow filled the softer roots between the road and the hangar line. From the rear ramp, Callan could see its full width. No stalled vehicle blocked it. No rut would slow a recovery team. Runa sat against the aircraft wall with Bracken beside her, one hand on his harness. The dog had sampled the air and ground without settling. I cannot support a track, she said. Too much wash, too much traffic, fuel road is inconclusive. Not negative, Callan said. Inconclusive. Do not turn that into permission. Elva answered from the cockpit. It is the only route you can see. That is not the same as the only route they can use. The security specialist studied the distance. We can reach the tractor before the nose connection if the lights stay on. If they go dark, we lose the return. They need the road to tow us, Callan said. That makes it the Intercept. Nomi called from the cargo bay. I can hold the cockpit threshold with the medic, but not if both of you disappear for long. Callan tightened the strap across his chest. His shoulder burned. Security comes with me. Nomi holds inside. Runa holds Bracken. Elva said nothing. Elva, you heard my aircraft assessment. I heard it. Then make your choice. Callan watched the tractor lights move closer. Road now. They left the aircraft shadow and crossed toward fuel road when the tractor engine rose. The security specialist could still run without favoring a leg. Callan kept his balance low because lifting the right arm stripped strength from the shoulder. 20 yards, the specialist said. Lights steady. Stay on my left. Your right is the problem. My left is the hand I can trust. The maintained surface offered width, traction, and a direct line to the nose gear. Older tire marks ran straight toward the aircraft, ordinary enough to belong and fresh enough to reward the eye. Halfway across, the tractor's lights cut out. The engine kept running. Return route is gone, the specialist said. A burst struck pavement behind them, closing the path to the rear ramp. Another came from the hangar line and stopped before crossing the AT-92's nose. Callan dropped beside the road edge. A voice near the tractor carried through the dark, low and unhurried. Keep the nose clear. The firing shifted at once. One command source. One allocation. Callan could not see the speaker, but the response placed him with the tow team. "That is Levick," the specialist said. "Has to be. Levick is still behind the tractor. It changes who is waiting at the end of it." The tow bar was already moving beneath the nose. 2 hostiles used the aircraft itself to limit return fire. "Back?" the specialist asked. Callan measured the open ground, the growing connection, and the time they had already spent. "Forward." The specialist looked once toward the AT-92. Then no. "We reach the tractor or we lose the aircraft." "Agreed." A hostile came around the tractor's rear quarter. Callan drove into him before the man cleared the vehicle, but the impact jarred the injured shoulder. Numbness flashed down the arm. His right fingers opened without permission. The hostile slipped free. "Grip failed," Callan said. "Switching left." "Too late," the specialist answered. A second man struck him against the tractor step. He landed hard on one thigh and tried to rise. The leg buckled. "Leg is live, not fast." Callan grabbed the step with his left hand while the tractor lurched. His right hand reached by habit, closed late, and lost the metal. He hit one knee on the wet road. Levick's voice came again from the darkness. "Move the bar." No threat. No explanation. The tow crew obeyed while 2 firing positions kept Callan and the specialist outside the tractor's path. "Can you cross?" Callan asked. "I can stand. I cannot sprint back." "Use the road edge." He pulled the specialist behind the low curb as another burst cut the open center. The fire followed the tow team's work and stopped whenever the cockpit or engine entered its path. Callan tested his right hand. The fingers closed weakly, then loosened. "You were right about the return," he said. "We are still here," the specialist replied. "Later, we need the aircraft now." Across the pavement, Runa kept Bracken at the rear ramp. She had given Callan uncertainty. He had treated the road's width as proof. The tow crew connected at the nose. Nomi called through the aircraft noise. "Cockpit threshold still contested. I cannot shift the injured again without opening the cargo bay." "Hold them where they are," Callan said. No answer came from Elva. "Elva, aircraft condition." The silence lasted 1 beat too long. Then she said, "Brake load increasing, left steering still degraded." She did not repeat her warning. Callan looked at the specialist's stiffening leg and his own hand, then changed the next order before pride could turn it into another route. "Nomi, you disrear movement. Elva, you decide what the aircraft can survive. I will stop assigning either from outside." Nomi answered first. "Rear stays fixed." Elva waited, then said understood. The tractor engine deepened. Tau vibration reached the pavement, then the airframe. The AT-92's nose shifted a few inches, dragging the damaged left side against resistance. "Can you stand?" Callan asked. "Yes." "Can you run?" "No." "Then we return under the fuselage when it reaches us. Do not chase the tractor." The specialist pushed up on the good leg. Callan used only his left hand to help. The damaged brake complained across the field with a rough metal note. Elva's voice came over it. Movement beginning. Callan watched the aircraft leave the place he had chosen to defend. The error was his, and the AT-92 began to move. The AT-92 moved before Callan could stand fully. Tau strain traveled through the airframe in slow pulses, the damaged left side resisting each pull before giving another foot. The security specialist stayed low beside him, one leg stiffening. Callan's right hand closed late and opened too easily. He used the left to help them toward the moving fuselage. "Rear crew stable," Nomi called. "Cockpit threshold narrow, 2 hostiles holding the middle." Elva answered from forward. "Steering degraded, braking worse. I can keep this from becoming a wreck if they leave me enough control." A burst struck pavement off the left wing and stopped as the firing path approached the engine. Callan timed their crossing against that restraint. Security, can you reach the rear ramp? At this speed, not if they accelerate. Take the rear exterior lane. And you. Left side. Know me, cut in. Do not give me a position you cannot hold with that hand. He reached the aircraft shadow. Then I hold what I can reach. The cargo bay cases remained sealed behind the bent rear ramp. No hostile looked at them. They are towing the aircraft, not hunting us, Callan said. Elva replied, they are doing both. The difference is what they are willing to damage. Metal clanged ahead as the tow crew corrected the nose. The aircraft kept rolling toward the north apron. Callan looked up toward the cockpit threshold. We can stop this by ruining the airframe before it leaves the apron. Elva answered immediately. No. If it cannot fly, they lose the objective. If I lose steering or brakes here, it stops wherever the tractor leaves it. That may still be better. With injured crew inside, hostiles on both sides, and no ground route we control. The deck shifted as the AT-92 crossed a seam. Nomi swore once, then called, rear cannot take another hard stop. Runa lost footing and the medic caught her. The medic added, a fixed stop traps two people who cannot move fast enough to clear the cargo bay. Callan kept pace beneath the wing. Then, partial denial. Name the part, Elva said. Not the method, the consequence. He had none that did not threaten the people inside. I do not have one. Then do not improvise on my aircraft. Fuel road still lay behind him, wide and convincing. Elva's silence after his mistake had been shorter than this exchange and carried more weight. Nomi, rear movement is yours, he said. Elva, aircraft condition is yours. Nomi replied, rear stays against the wall, the center lane remains mine. Elva waited another beat. I will call every turn and every speed change. I work the outside lanes. That is your part, she said. The aircraft crossed the north apron. Callan saw a hostile near the tractor guard the airframe rather than the cargo side. They need the real aircraft, he said. Identity alone? Elva asked. Something that cannot be copied quickly. The AT-92 is only the first condition. A burst struck behind Callan and broke away as he moved under the cockpit line. Nomi called, they keep me alive enough to manage the rear. They keep Elva untouched. They avoid the co-pilot because he cannot fly. Callan looked toward the cockpit. They need a pilot who behaves the way someone expects. Elva said, my approach choices, my radio timing, my response to a diversion. A known pilot makes the aircraft believable. Believable to whom? A remote air defense relay expecting trusted resupply. Nothing more specific matters here. Callan kept moving. Aircraft and pilot. And time, Elva said. The temporary route privilege closes at 0521. How much? Under 16 minutes. The answer compressed the field. Nomi said, so the cargo was never the center. No, Callan replied. He heard how late the answer was. They need the AT-92, Elva's known behavior, and the route while it still accepts both. Elva did not praise the conclusion. Correct. Runa called from the rear ramp, Bracken protected beside her. He stays with me. Keep him there, Callan said. No task until you authorize one. I will authorize only what Bracken supports. The tow accelerated. Callan matched it for several steps, then fell behind when his right hand failed on a fuselage seam. He caught the aircraft with his left. Turn coming, Elva said. 4 seconds, nose left. Nomi? Callan asked. Rear braced, middle closed. Security? Rear ramp, slower than the aircraft but holding. Callan revised the order. Do not hold a speed you cannot match. Stay with Nomi's opening. Understood. Ahead, the hangar line blocked the horizon with black sheet metal and broken roof shapes. One hostile crossed high near tower access. Another remained near the tractor. High movement, Callan said. I cannot place distance. Elva answered, ignore the echo, turn in 2. Nomi, keep the injured low. Already low. 1, Elva said. Callan moved with the nose instead of his own reading of the sound. The correction pulled the AT-92 away from a service barrier and toward the dark gap beyond the hangars. Controlled fire pressed him lower beside the fuselage, then shifted when its path threatened the cockpit. What do they gain beyond the hangar line? He asked. Elva looked ahead. A strip. Portable lights snapped on one after another past the hangars, uneven but deliberate. The maintained crosswind strip appeared beneath the aircraft's nose. The crosswind strip lights did not rise as one system. They appeared in uneven groups, bright on the near side and delayed beyond the hangar line, with dark gaps that moved when people carried the portable units. Callan saw one figure bend over a light and another signal from tower access. Human hands controlled the runway picture. The AT-92 rolled toward the opening between the hangars, while sheet metal threw tractor noise back from 3 directions. Left in 6 seconds, Elva said. Do not move before I call it. The security specialist stayed near the rear ramp, his bruised leg shortening every 3rd step. Tower stairs are 12 yards from me, he said. I can start them. I cannot win them before those 2 come down. Leave the tower, Callan said. Rear ramp remains your limit. Nomi called from inside. Rear secure. I need 10 seconds for transmission. Take them when the left exterior lane opens. Runa kept Bracken inside the aircraft shadow with the medic and the injured. No K9 task in this air, she said. Exhaust and movement are folding together. No task, Callan confirmed. Elva counted. 3-2. Callan ignored an engine echo that placed the tractor on the wrong side. 1, now. The nose changed angle. A portable light swept across the hangar line and exposed a hostile controlling the left exterior lane. Hangar corner left lane, Callan called. The hostile fired once toward him, then checked the path when the moving wing entered it. I can block his return, the security specialist said. I cannot climb after the tower pair. Block the corner. Callan crossed behind a low service barrier. His shoulder prevented a clean climb, so he stayed beside it and moved along its length. Elva, next change. Hold for 5, nose stays left. Nomi, rear ramp. Closed enough, transmission ready. The hostile tried to retreat around the hangar line. The security specialist arrived from the rear angle, late because of the injured leg, but in the only place the man could still use. He is turning toward the apron, he said. Callan stepped into that route. The hostile lost his weapon against the barrier, went down hard on one knee, and the specialist secured him against the low wall. 6 active, Nomi called. Lane open for 8 seconds. Transmit. Her voice changed to radio discipline. Scarvin Auxiliary Field, west surface, moving north past hangar line, 7 crew alive, aircraft under hostile tow. Static broke the reply. Nomi listened once. Correction received. Response time? Callan asked. Cannot reach us before 0534. Then this fight ends before they arrive, the security specialist said. No one answered because the aircraft was already entering the hangar gap. The crosswind strip continued beyond the hangar line under portable lights. Its maintained width, open drainage, and clean edge matched the small details Callan had seen during the landing. Elva had joined them before he had. They are aligning the aircraft for the strip, she said. I need the left exterior lane clear when the nose passes the second hangar. You have it for now. For now is not a distance. Call the distance. 7 seconds to the second hangar. Then the wing blocks you. Callan looked toward tower access. 2 hostiles abandoned the high position. One dropped behind the roofline. The other moved down toward the aircraft's forward side. A third figure waited below, turning his head once toward the tower and once toward the fuselage. Callan recognized the same controlled allocation that had followed Levik's voice on Fuel Road. Levik pointed toward the moving airframe and left the tower uncovered. The two men came down. One of the descending men reached the wing root shadow and fired across Kubush's return to the left exterior lane. The other stayed high enough to keep the security specialist from changing his mind about the stairs. Levik had not merely abandoned the tower, he was using the descent to close both choices at once. He had traded the elevated view for bodies that could travel with the aircraft. "Tower is emptying," Callan said. "Levik is bringing them forward." The security specialist shifted toward the stairs despite the leg. His first step failed to carry his weight. "I can still try." "No. You will arrive after they leave and lose the rear ramp. That gives them the high view. They are giving it up themselves." Elva cut through the argument. "Second hangar in 3. Callan moved on her count. A burst struck the barrier behind him. Another came from high sheet metal and sounded close enough to touch, though the flash appeared farther down the hangar line. "Echo says right," Callan said. "Aircraft says left," Elva replied. "Trust the nose." Moving left. Nomi called from the cargo bay. Rear ramp still held. 2 injured cannot change sides again. The medic added, "Keep the next turn shallow." "Elva owns the turn," Callan said. Medic gives the human limit. Elva answered, "Shallow turn in 4." He reached the aircraft's left side as the nose entered the opening. Beyond the hangars, the crosswind strip lay straight under portable lights. Off to the west, West Shelter and the maintenance road formed the only visible ground route away from the strip. Callan stored the site and did not name it. "Tau line ahead," the security specialist said from the rear. "Last exterior point before the strip. Can you reach it?" "Not ahead of the aircraft." "Then stay with Nomi." Levik and the tower pair moved closer to the fuselage, preparing to continue on board. Elva said, "Hangar line clearing now." Callan matched the moving wing with his left hand against the metal. The high view was gone, the response was late, and the AT-92 rolled clear of the hangar line toward Tau line. Tau line ran beside the AT-92's left side where exhaust lifted over a low service wall and left a narrow strip of cold air undisturbed for a few yards. Bracken's head changed before his body did, but Callan waited for Runa. She braced one hand on the rear ramp frame and held the harness with the other. "One human trail," she said. "Fresh enough to support in the lee. It crosses behind the service cart and ends near the tow operator." "How far can it hold?" Callan asked. "Until the wash folds back 1 pass." "Number?" "1 trail, not 1 person in the field." "Intent?" Runa looked at him. "Do not make me answer that twice." "Understood. You call support, I move the lead." The security specialist tested his bruised leg beside the rear ramp. "I can follow at aircraft speed for a short burst. I cannot pursue past the wall." "Block the tow operator's return," Callan said. "Do not chase the nose team." Elva called from forward, "Tau steady, crosswind strip ahead. I can give you 8 seconds before the next correction." Nomi answered from the cargo bay. Rear ramp lane open, injured secured. The medic kept Runa from taking the full load as she leaned out. "No second fall," he said. "I know." Runa released enough lead for Callan to guide Bracken into the cold strip. "Wall side," she said. "Do not widen him." The dog moved nose low along the service wall while the exhaust roared above the sheltered air. Bracken committed behind the service cart and returned toward Tau line. "Still supported," Runa called. 3 yards, 2. The tow operator had left the tractor cab to check the nose connection. Callan saw him only when Bracken's line tightened around the cart's far edge. "There," the security specialist said. Operator moving back to the cab. Callan returned the lead before contact. "Runa, dog. I have him. Bracken is finished with the approach." Callan moved alone. The operator turned late and tried to retreat toward two hostiles near the nose. Callan cut off the shorter route with the cart on one side and the moving fuselage on the other. He reached with the right hand by reflex. The shoulder failed, and the fingers slid off the man's jacket. "Right failed," Callan said. "Keep him off the cab," the security specialist answered. His injured leg delayed him by 2 steps. Callan used his left shoulder and body weight to keep the operator against the surface cart until the specialist reached the return path. The operator tried to drop beneath him, but his knee struck the cart frame, and he lost the route to the tractor. The specialist secured him on the pavement. "Operator down, I cannot reach the nose team." "Do not." The tractor drifted out of alignment. The AT-92 hesitated under the changing tow. Callan expected Levick to fight for the cab. Instead, Levick appeared near the forward side, watched the disconnected tractor for less than a second, then swept one arm toward the aircraft. 2 hostiles abandoned the nose and moved to the forward access. The failed tow had already become an onboard seizure. Elva heard the change through the aircraft. "Tow dropping. I have limited taxi control." The tractor pulled away at an angle. The AT-92 did not stop. Its engines deepened, and the wheels began carrying the aircraft forward at a low, uneven pace. "No me count," Callan said. 5 active, 2 forward, 2 middle, Levick moving toward cockpit threshold. Brack's breathing changed behind him. The dog turned toward Runa, checked the air again, and failed to settle. Exhaust rolled down from the left engine as the aircraft changed angle. Runa pulled him clear immediately. "Done. Overload." "Can he reset behind the wall?" Callan asked. "He is withdrawn, no second pass anywhere." Her answer ended the question. Bracken's mouth stayed open. His breaths shortened while his nails scraped once on wet pavement. Runa brought his head toward her body and moved him away from tow line. "Medic, take the co-pilot. Nomi, keep the injured inside the rear shadow. Bracken stays with me and away from the strip." The medic shifted to the co-pilot without taking the harness. "You need help moving." "I need the route clear. Help the humans who cannot choose theirs." Callan watched her turn Bracken away. The dog's attention returned to her, not to the aircraft. "Runa, report when you reach cover." "I will report people and dog, no more work." "Confirmed." The AT-92 gathered speed, still a taxi rather than a takeoff run, but enough to separate Callan from the damaged rear ramp. "Under 14 minutes to route closure," Elva called. "Taxi control remains limited." The security specialist pushed off from tow line and managed 3 fast steps before the bruised leg shortened his stride. "I cannot catch the rear ramp," he said. "Use the aircraft shadow and hold the rear exterior route," Callan answered. "Nomi will open when you reach it." Nomi called, "Rear ramp bouncing. Boarding window is less than 1 stride." Levick and 4 hostiles disappeared into or along the airframe instead of defending tow line. Exterior control had failed even though the tow operator was secured. Callan ran beside the fuselage. His right hand remained numb. His shoulder could not lift the arm high enough to catch the bent frame. "Elva, steady interval. 3 seconds after the next seam, not before." "Nomi, clear the landing space." "Clearing now. Security is behind you and losing ground." Callan reached with his left hand. The rear ramp rose, struck its damaged frame, and dropped again. "Not yet," Elva said. He waited. The aircraft rolled toward the crosswind strip with Callan outside, the security specialist farther behind, and the brief boarding window opening and closing at the rear ramp. The damaged rear ramp dropped low enough for 1 stride, then kicked upward as the left wheels crossed a seam. Callan waited for Elva's count. 3 seconds steady, she said. After the bounce. "Nomi, opening? Clear for 1 body, do not bring the ramp with you." Callan caught the bent frame with his left hand, planted 1 foot inside, and let the next roll carry him across the edge. His right hand closed on air. He hit the ribbed cargo bay floor shoulder first and slid beneath the red light. Nomi dragged him clear with her right arm. 5 active, she said. Rear restraint hostile behind the webbing 2 middle threshold guard, Levick at cockpit approach. The security specialist had reached the rear ramp after Callan and leaned against the frame, the injured leg shaking. I can hold rear. I cannot make another run. The medic kept Runa, Bracken, the co-pilot, and the other injured crew low against the cargo bay wall. Runa's harness hand stayed firm. Bracken remains withdrawn. He does not move forward. Keep him behind the injured line, Callan said. Nomi pointed toward the center. I own the cargo bay lane. You move when I call it, not when the floor feels friendly. Callan pushed upright with his left arm. Understood. The ramp struck the frame again behind him and erased the easy route back outside. The rear restraint hostile pulled hanging webbing aside and rushed the injured zone. Rear webbing moving, she called. Callan, stay between him and the wall. He turned on her warning and took the impact against his left side. The hostile tried to drag him toward the cargo bay center line, where a middle operator waited. Callan drove his boots into the ribbed floor and kept the struggle near the restraints. Security, rear hostile, Nomi said. Moving. The specialist answered, but the bruised leg delayed him. The medic shifted the co-pilot and Runa 2 feet farther aft. I need this strip clear. No one falls across me. Runa moved Bracken with her, keeping the dog's body turned away from the collision. Callan tried to catch the hostile's sleeve with his right hand. The grip closed late and slid free. Hand failed, he said. Then stop reaching, Nomi snapped. Turn him left. Callan used his left shoulder to redirect the attacker into the hanging webbing. The man became tangled long enough for the security specialist to arrive. He drove the hostile down against the floor restraints and held him there despite the bad leg. Rear restraint hostile secured, he said. The medic checked that the man could not rise, then returned to the injured without becoming part of the fight. 4 active, Nomi called. Rear remains closed. The first middle operator advanced, while the second stayed near the cargo bay center line. Elva warned, right turn in 4, low speed, hold your positions. Callan saw an opening and moved before Nomi called it. His right hand reached for a webbing strap to stabilize the advance. The fingers held for half a second, then opened. He struck the wall. The first middle operator changed direction immediately and pressed the impaired side. From beyond the cockpit threshold, Levick watched the failure and touched 2 fingers to his own right shoulder before directing the threshold guard toward Callan's weak side. He had stored the injury. Back, Nomi said. Callan, back now. I can reach the rail. Not with that hand. The aircraft began the turn. Hold, Elva called. Nomi stepped into the cargo bay centerline and forced Callan to stop with her body rather than another argument. The first middle operator committed forward, expecting Callan to continue. When the taxi turn altered their footing, Nomi called, low left. Callan moved on the instruction and blocked the route to the injured zone. The security specialist could not leave the rear captive, so Nomi took the second operator's path herself. He struck her left forearm against a restraint post. The hand dropped. A burst of sound from forward hit the metal interior. Nomi flinched and turned her right ear toward Callan. Left ear muffled, left arm weak. Can you still call the lane? Right side only. Repeat anything from my left. Callan repeated it. Right side calls only. Together they forced the first middle operator away from the rear crew. He lost his footing against a sealed case, and Callan used the left side to keep him down until the medic secured his arms without leaving the injured for more than seconds. 3 active, Nomi said too loudly. Callan and Nomi advanced 1 fixed anchor at a time. Cargo bay rail, she said. Clear. Callan reached it with the left hand. Forward restraint next, wait. Levick remained at the cockpit approach, visible in pieces beyond the threshold guard and the last operator. He kept the last operator close enough to threaten the cargo bay, but did not spend him on the secured rear. "He is watching your right side," Nomi said. Callan turned so her good ear faced him. "Then call what he cannot see." Forward restraint, left opening 2 steps. He moved on her count. The threshold guard drove him into the wall before he reached it. Callan's right hand could not recover balance. Nomi used her remaining arm to block the guard's route back into the cargo bay. "Again," she said. "Left opening." Elva called from the cockpit, 10 seconds to the crosswind strip. "Taxi only until I say otherwise." The security specialist reported from the rear ramp. 2 hostiles secured, rear crew protected. "I cannot come forward." "Stay rear," Callan said. "That is the mission." The medic added, "Injured are clear of the center lane. Grounding becomes survivable when the forward threat is gone." Callan reached the forward restraint on Nomi's second call. 3 active hostiles remained, the threshold guard, the last operator behind him, and Levick nearest Elva. The portable lights aligned through the cockpit glass. Taxi jolts smoothed into a steady pull. "Acceleration in 3, Elva said. Callan held the cockpit threshold with his left shoulder. Nomi closed the cargo bay behind him. 2, 1. The engine note rose and true acceleration began. True acceleration pressed Callan into the cockpit threshold. The crosswind strip lights ran straight ahead, no false picture left between the aircraft and what it could become. The threshold guard held the passage with his weight against the moving wall. The last operator waited behind Callan near the cargo bay. Levick stood beside Elva and the forward controls. 3 active, Nomi said, left forearm tight against her body and her good ear turned toward the cockpit. "Rear is secure." The security specialist answered from behind her. "I have the cargo bay operator when he commits. I cannot reach forward first." The medic said, "Injured remain clear. I can help secure 1 man, then I return." Elva kept the aircraft aligned. 8 seconds to the next speed change. Callan's right hand hung useless at chest height. Nomi threshold calls, security, last operator, medic rear remains your priority. The threshold guard drove into him before the order finished. Callan took the impact on his left side and used the cockpit threshold wall to stop the backward movement. "Steps lost," Nomi said. "Your left route is closing. Call it when it opens." "I will call it once." The guard tried to turn him across the passage and clear a route for Levick. Callan's damaged hand offered nothing. His left shoulder caught the frame. The aircraft vibration deepened under his boots. "Speed change in 2, Elva said. Nomi closed the route behind the threshold guard with her good arm. "Left opening, now." Callan moved on the call and drove the guard away from the cockpit entrance. The man recovered faster than Callan could grip him and turned toward Nomi. The security specialist appeared behind him, limping hard. "I have his rear." He took the guard's retreat while Callan blocked the forward passage. The medic secured the man against the cargo bay restraint and went back at once. "Threshold, guard down," Nomi called. The last operator rushed from the cargo bay, trying to reopen the route. The security specialist could not pivot quickly enough on the injured leg. "My right," he said. The medic caught the operator's forward movement long enough for the specialist to turn. Their bodies struck the floor behind Callan. "Levick and 1, Nomi said. Elva called, 5 minutes to 0521. The last operator fought toward the cockpit threshold. But the security specialist held him short of Nomi. "Not secured yet." "Keep him rear," Callan said. He did not turn. Levick crossed the cockpit approach, watched Callan protect the passage with his left side, and said, "Break the right." The last operator renewed his effort behind them. Levick drove directly into Callan's impaired shoulder. Callan lost the cockpit threshold. His right arm folded against his chest, and Levick used the failure to push past his body toward Elva. The read was correct about the injury. Callan could not stop him through grip, reach, or personal control. Levick reversed direction while Hallen tried to follow, pulling him into the cockpit approach and away from Nomi's calls. He struck once at Callan's left forearm, forcing the only reliable hand off the frame, then shoved him sideways until Elva had to turn her shoulder away from the controls. Callan recovered the passage by planting his left boot against the threshold base. But Levick read the correction and changed level before Callan could settle. "Callan, I lost your left," Nomi said. Her damaged hearing made the words uneven. "Repeat from my right." He shifted his head without trying to rebuild the whole picture. "Elva, timing. 3 seconds, hold." Levick struck the impaired side again and gained another step. 2. Callan did not reach. He stayed attached to the route Levick needed. 1. Move left. Callan moved on Elva's count. Nomi saw the opening from the cargo bay and blocked Levick's retreat with her good arm. Levick tried to turn Callan through the weak side, expecting him to resist alone. Callan gave up the ground instead. The move carried Levick away from Elva and into the narrow place Nomi had closed. Behind them, the security specialist called, "Last operator secure." Levick had no mobile support. Callan drove forward with his left shoulder, put Levick on the floor at the cockpit threshold, and kept him there while Nomi denied the only route back. The security specialist reached forward and secured Levick. Levick tried to roll toward the cockpit once more. Callan blocked the movement with his left knee until the restraint held. He did not rise. "Zero mobile threats," Nomi said. "Crew position secure." Elva waited for the medic's confirmation. 7 alive, he called. "Injuries unchanged, rear ready." Only then did she make the aircraft decision. Callan did not ask for the method. The forward pull dropped hard. A violent shudder ran through the floor, followed by a grinding turn that carried the AT-92 off the usable strip and denied it a second attempt. The aircraft stopped angled away from the crosswind strip, damaged beyond flight, its engines losing their steady note. At 0521, the route privilege closed. Corrected response remained minutes away. Nomi's left arm hung useless. The security specialist could barely place weight on the bruised leg. Callan's right hand would not close. Runa emerged from the rear with Bracken under control, the dog still withdrawn from work. The co-pilot remained non-flight capable but conscious. All 7 humans were alive. The hostile survivors were secured or unable to move. The medic checked each restraint before assigning the 2 people still able to bear weight to the injured. Elva looked west. West Shelter, Maintenance Road. The medic and security specialist organized the injured for the ground movement. Runa kept Bracken beside her. Callan stepped out after Elva without checking the map, the pavement, or the horizon. They carried the injured toward West Shelter while the unusable AT-92 cooled behind them.